So
There you go.
Can I ask you a question before you start?
Yeah.
We know it's a male outwardly because
the opening is there.
right there.
Yep.
It's because it's more towards the. And then this
Right.
The
obviously.
female, where?
Next
Okay,
to
we'll
the-
check out the female later.
Yeah. So if the male is going to be, yeah, the opening is here. If it's a female, the opening is back here.
Okay.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay. So digestive system-wise, inside, the esophagus and the very back is where the opening is anyway, which is you can't really see very well because it's not open as far enough. But anyway, you can see the opening in the very back. You can see trachea is very solid.
It's the cartilage.
Right. Yeah. There, and then heart, lungs, which then the diaphragm is the membrane that's across the top of the liver, which is part of it is here. It's mostly taken off because you can't really get to anything else unless you remove that. At least cut it on the sides. So you have liver. It's the giant organ on the top. The gallbladder is the greenish bag that's attached to the bottom.
Is it
of
under the liver?
The liver,
Or-
yeah. It may or may not be green depending on how far along the fetal pig stage was. There were some that weren't colored at all. But you can tell it because it's a different texture across the bottom of the liver. It's roughly in the middle, slightly to its right, I suppose. But yeah, typically it'll be green. So, all right. So going down from the liver, we have the stomach. It's here. The spleen is off to the side
Of the stomach.
of the stomach. Yeah, and so this is where the blood is going to be filtered. It's in the spleen. It's done, food is going to go to be digested there. So then from the stomach, we have the first turn of the small intestine is the duodenum. Inside that first turn of the duodenum is the pancreas, which is here. This different textured portion that's between in the inside of that first turn of the small intestine. So we have the massive amount of small intestine here.
So it's basically behind the small intestine.
The
This is duodenum.
the duodenum. Well, it's right where it attaches to the stomach.
okay.
It's the first part, like right where it comes out of the stomach, and into the first turn is the duodenum. And then that's where the pancreas is located inside that first turn.
So the pancreas is right here.
It's all of
Okay.
is what this.
That cauliflower-like appearance.
Right. Yes. Exactly. It's that.
Yeah, that middle. Okay.
Yeah. So this part here is the pancreas. So. Okay. So yeah, all small intestine. So then you have the colon then back here, which looks a lot like the small intestine, but is much larger, and then maybe greenish also color. So that's most of the digestive system there. So then, the difference between right and left for the organs, like this would be the right lung, the left lung. It's from the specimen's
Anatomical
perspective, as opposed to you looking down on top of it.
And like right kidney, and then left kidney.
So yeah, right. And then, so if we did chambers of the heart, then so you have the right ventricle, left ventricle, left atrium, right atrium, and then the aorta on top. And then if you pull everything aside, you can see the caudal aorta on the right side. Oh, so it's left, run along the spine. Some of these membranes are
It's on
not.
the left.
So pull
On the
aside.
left is the caudal.
Aorta, and then on the right would be the caudal. So here you can actually see the vena cava. Be right here.
See, there's
And then you can also see the vena cava. I think if you go deep enough through here too, but not quite. I guess depending on what's been cut. So you don't really see it so much here. But you can see from the heart here is part of this too runs along here as well. So, what's left?
The
Reproductive system? Okay. It doesn't look like you guys actually did the dissection for this. So, it's going to be pretty tough to tell a lot of it. But So we have the bladder is along here. And that's so at this point, this stage in the fetal pig's development, the bladder doesn't actually connect to the urethra, which would be very far down here where this attaches down here. So the waste from the bladder is actually going to pass through the umbilical cord to go back through the mother's digestive system then, or excretory system, I suppose. Right, so we won't actually see that. The penis would be if you'd have to slice this open here, and there's another tube essentially that goes from where the urethra attaches to the bladder back here. Also on this side you'd be able to see it, and it would run the length up to the urogenital opening, which is there. And then the testes would be, we'd have to cut through here, and then it'd be the right testes would be on this side and left would be on that side. The epididymis is just the kind of like area around the testes itself. And then the ductus deferentia, you can track from the testes themselves. So it's this tube here that runs. It's pretty tough to get to. So it's this small tube that runs along here. Is the ductus deferentia from the right side, and this would be from the left side. Be here. And then where they meet is where the prostate gland would be, which would be right behind here, which you can't actually see because it's been clipped apart anyway. But you wouldn't be able to see it in this anyway because it's at a fetal stage, so it won't actually be developed enough to find it. But if it were present, it would be right where these two tubes end up meeting behind here. And then, so then that also attaches, right, yeah, it should be right behind here. And then that will end up connecting to the penis, which we don't have actually cut open, so you can't really see it. But there's another tube basically that runs from the urethra to the vaginal opening. Yeah. Anything else?
I appreciate it.
Cool, thank you very much. Appreciate it.
Sure.